Hello, all, Rambling Canuck, back for another Enterprise review, and Captain Trek makes his return. Welcome back, Cap.
Thank you.
So, gentlemen, today we watch Star Trek Enterprise Season 2 Marauders. Opening thoughts, Vance?
Well, it was a Trek by the book episode. Nothing special. By the books. So, yeah. What do you think, Captain Trek?
Well, considering, if I had watched this before watching Discovery, I would have thought it was, but having seen that, it's not so bad. A little by the books, yeah. But
Yeah, a little bit by the numbers, but compared to Discovery, I mean, it's masterpiece theater.
Exactly.
There's not much you can do about that. All right, so in this episode, they beam. Well, they don't beam down because they never do that in Enterprise. They go down with their shuttlecraft, and they need some deuterium. But apparently, these people that the deuterium miners are getting bullied by Klingons. So they, throughout the episode, they decide to teach them how to fight. And of course, the old line: if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You teach him how to fish. You feed him for. How many times has that been used in movies over the years? Like, seriously. Is there an older proverb that's used than that one?
Yeah, it's it's. I think the thing that it's been told so many times here, and it just doesn't feel fresh in this episode, and it just doesn't bring anything new to the storylines. I mean, you literally this episode felt like a plug and play episode. The Klingons, they felt wore out in this episode. Nothing felt new or fresh or dangerous. The aliens felt, just everything about this episode just felt kind of tired. It didn't take any risks. Nothing felt like it was in danger. I did like Archer's story about when they first started off, and he got shot by the Suliban, about how he kind of didn't sign up for it. Like, I like that little discussion about internalizing what was going on. But outside that, it felt like a very tired episode of Star Trek. I can kind of see why at the time they were kind of looking at the series going, God, why are we losing numbers?
Yeah, it to me it seemed very like it wasn't a bad episode. It was just
forgettable.
It was just
forgettable.
Your standard paint by numbers, which, I mean, if you put that on the modern eye, I mean, there's a lot of times we watch the modern stuff and go, please paint by numbers, please, dear God, paint by numbers. It's not that hard. I
don't agree with you guys on that. I like modern Trek because it doesn't, it takes risks. I mean, I certainly understand why some people don't. But I mean, I look at, if this was an episode of Next Gen back in like third or fourth season, this would have been fine because this hadn't been done yet. But by this point in Trek history, this had been done like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah,
so
within just TNG, never mind Voyager.
Right. But by the time we had gotten to Voyager, again, this had been done several times over, and we're like, good God, if this had been a Picard episode, this would have been, I mean, this could have very easily been a Picard episode, and it would have been done, original and fresh, and it would have felt fresh. But that was part of the problem with Enterprise, was the fact that so many of their episodes had been done over and over and over. And the fact of the matter is, this was supposed to have been a prequel series, and that was part of the problem with this entire, franchise. And that's one of the things that modern Trek does again, being a taste issue, and that's why it doesn't really bother me as much, is the fact that they do take risks, and that's one thing this episode just didn't do. Why didn't the Klingons beam outside the fire and then continue to attack? Why did they say, "Oh, I can go anywhere else"? No, dude, you have the deuterium right there. Just go attack the people for all you can. It's right there.
And I kind of wanted to touch on that. Like the Klingons themselves, they seemed kind of dumber than normal. Because, I mean, all they really had to do, in my opinion, beam up to the ship and bombard the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? They've told them, okay, well, where you were, there's another 2 sealed caps. Okay, cool. I'm gonna beam up to my ship and I'm gonna fire right there.
Yeah.
That'll learn you. It's just the other thing that I always find weird, and this happens throughout Star Trek, but is the range in which they can be detected. Right? So you're telling me that Enterprise can detect the Klingon vessel, but the Klingons can't detect Enterprise.
Yeah, because plot reasons.
Yeah, for plot necessity, the Klingons don't know Enterprise is there, but Enterprise knows exactly when the Klingons come out of warp.
Yeah.
But the Klingons don't know they're there. Bullshit. If you can see them, they can see you. So that part is, and it happens throughout Star Trek. And that part to me in those kind of episodes is always the weakest point, because it's like, well, okay, 2 episodes ago they could, you got found out because they picked you up on sensors, but now you're telling me that the Klingons don't have sensors?
Right.
Well, the other thing is, the Klingons know this planet, so they would be automatically scanning. So if anything else, that should make it even more unbelievable.
Well, because
unless they to have warned the Enterprise prior to it, and said move to such and such location where you can scan but not be scanned, it could have been easily fixed, but they didn't.
Yeah, and not only that, but it's the old Hollywood thing of, let's move the cow. It's an old Western story, is what it is.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
You move the town, and then you ambush them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's an old Western story. They do it all the time in the Westerns. And the problem I have with that is when the Klingons beam down, they're not beaming down because they see the village. They're beaming down to coordinates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? So it doesn't matter if you move the town. They're going to beam down to the same coordinates they beamed down to the last 6 times they've been here.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they're not going to notice, well, this is different coordinates. Why are we beaming down here? Why did they move the town? I thought they were supposed to be they're going to know. Like, this isn't that they're on the same planet and they, it just looks the same. Okay, cool. They're beaming down to coordinates. They're not beaming down to the village. Right? So it doesn't matter if the village is there or not. They're beaming down to a set of coordinates. They're not beaming down because, I see the hut over there.
Yeah.
So that part always kind of plot reasons, move on. But
the Klingons look dumber than normal.
Oh yeah, they look dumber than mud. So those are kind of plot holes to me. I mean, like I said, the episode itself, it's not bad, it's not terrible, but it ain't good and it ain't great either.
No, it's
well, it would be slightly different if they were flying a shuttle down, because at least then you could say they're not really paying attention. They're like, oh, okay, the town's over, it's a mile over there, and they're not really paying attention. But again, you have to look at, okay, will mountains change? I mean, even if you're driving a car and you're like, you get kind of off course on the highway, you kind of notice, the general vicinity looks slightly off. It's like, again, you're right with the coordinates and beaming, but even if you flew with the shuttle, like, it just, when you start to think about it, like, it falls apart. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, because the plot needs it to, let's not think about it too much. And it's, again, it's not a bad episode. It's just, it's a very tired and it's a very lazy episode from a storytelling point of view. It's they need the Enterprise to come in and save these people because of plot reasons. It's again, if this had taken place in a nebula and sensors didn't quite work and they had the Klingons in a shuttle, then all of this would be no problem
then this
and
makes
not
sense.
an issue.
But the fact they beam down is what tears it for me, because they're not beaming down because they see a hut. They're beaming down the coordinates, which doesn't change if you move the damn town. So that's where, like, if they had come down like Enterprise does, like the Enterprise crew do, okay, I could buy it, right? But they're not. They're beaming down, so it's the coordinates.
Yeah.
So that's where it kind of goes. The other thing I noticed in this episode, and I don't know, maybe you guys can correct me, but since when did Miss Translator there become a sniper? Just curious.
No, that go ahead, Cap. You take this one.
That one really did throw me. It's like, what in the hell?
Yeah.
How did she go from being this little timid translator who was afraid to talk to people to just kick-ass?
Yeah, give me the gun. Let me shoot. I hit every target. No biggie.
It'd have been different if they had set this up in, say, the episode with the Suliban, when they took over the ship, and she was forced to fight back and she, if they had set that up in that episode, that would have been the perfect, especially if you knew that you were doing some type of story arc like that, that would have been the perfect setup for something like that, and that would have made a great amount of sense. But there's no payoff for anything like that, and it's such a shame, because there's a lot of things like that where they do stuff that for no reason outside of okay, we need the episode to have. Yeah, and the thing about it is, like, it's never really referenced again.
Yeah, like to me, she goes from timid to G.I. Jane in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, and she's G.I. Jane again for the rest of the series. Like, very seldom does she ever really step out of that type of role. The only time she's ever really a badass is when they go to the mirror universe. And that's the only time she's ever really interesting.
And then, of course, to Paul with her Vulcan martial arts gibberish.
That was she looks like Rambo, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like there's parts of this that are rather cringe. The whole turning to Paul, Rambo, and translator chick turning into the sniper of the group, and then even Archer in this one. I mean, Archer is basically the one, and I've said this before. Archer in this one, I tend to like Archer in these kind of shows because he's at least true to himself.
Yeah.
Right? I hate him in episodes where he steps out of character. But this is an Archer character trait. Archer sees, something that he should keep his nose out of, but he does it anyway. That's it. Archer's done that since season 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have an issue with that. But I do have an issue when you just add a character trait to a character where it's like, what? No. Why? Okay. Now, okay. So, yeah. All right. Wonderbar.
Well, again, they were trying to still find who is Archer, and they hadn't really filled in, who this character is. And the thing about Scott Bakula is, he can play multitude of roles. And like I've said before, it's not until season 3 that they actually say this is who this character is. And it's because of the season finale of season 2, where they're like, this is the defining moment for this character and what we're going to do. This is the journey he's on. And it's really sad because it's like sitting here watching this stuff and I'm like, dude, I can't wait till we get to that point where we're like, yes, now I can finally sit here and share who this character becomes.
Okay.
All right. Because it's like, I feel like I'm Daniels,
Yeah. All right. So with that said, let's go around, give our final grades, and wrap this puppy up. So Vance, what did you? What's your final thoughts on this one?
It's forgettable. Next week when we do the episode, I probably won't be able to tell you what we talked about this week outside of, I don't know. I don't like episodes like these. All I know is, I can't tell you most of what season 2 is about outside of, we saw the Romulans at some point. There was a space station at some point that fixed the ship. I really, season 1 and season 2 is kind of a blur that blurs together. And it's episodes like these that really piss me off because it's like, for those fans that stuck it out for 2 seasons, it's like, man, you have a lot of talent and a lot of money that went for nothing, and you wasted 2 years of people's lives. Like it's crap like this that really pissed me off because it's like season 3 and season 4 is some of the best damn Star Trek that's out there. So I really wish we didn't see stuff like this because it's just a bunch of nothing. So I'd say for me this is probably a 2.
Okay, Cap.
I would tend to agree, although I would give it a 3.
All right, that's fair enough. Okay, I think it's because I review Star Trek Discovery every Thursday. I'm gonna go with a 4 because it's a meh. But compared to what I watch every Thursday morning, this is Masterpiece Theater. So I'm gonna go with a 4. And I do hope that everybody's enjoyed this. I want to thank Vance and Cap. Welcome back. Mm-hmm. And till next time, take her easy, folks.